Okay, stretch time. If you want to stand up, walk around, wave, whatever you need to do, want to do. Yeah, good smiles. We can trade smiles. Everybody's so bundled up. Can you believe it's going to be 70 on Saturday in Miami? I'm just kidding. I'm glad you're here, and you folks on Zoom, hi. Can you hear me okay? Good. Welcome. Good to have you. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Larry Dawalt, and I'm one of our Dharma leaders. We have 3 other Dharma leaders here tonight. 1, 2, yeah. And 4. 1, 2, 3, and I'm 4. There we go. Tonight, we are continuing a 3-part series on the Noble Eightfold Path. Now, if you've not been here before, or if you've only been a time or two, or if you've not been studying any of the teachings, the chances of you like getting lost and going to sleep tonight are real good. This is a lot of the doctrine teaching tonight. In his book, The Noble Eightfold Path, Bhikkhu Bodhi, who is a wonderful teacher, he writes in the intro about the Dharma and the discipline, the doctrine and the discipline. The doctrine being the basic teachings, and then the discipline being our practice and what we do, how we take those teachings and live them in such a way that we begin to eliminate suffering. We walk our path. So tonight, the doctrine we're talking about, the Dharma, is part 2 of the Noble Eightfold Path. The Noble Eightfold Path is often grouped into 3 divisions: moral virtue or conduct, concentration or collectedness, steadiness, focus, we'll be talking about tonight, and wisdom or insight, which comes next week. Each supports and deepens the other. The practice of virtue calms the heart and clears the conscience. And a clear conscience allows the mind to settle in concentration. And a concentrated mind can go deeply into the nature of reality. And that gives rise to wisdom and liberation. I want to say a few words about the purification of conduct, moral discipline, right speech, right action, right livelihood. And if you didn't hear it last week, I want to encourage you to YouTube Debbie's talk about this first division of the path, because it's very important as we look at right speech, right action, and right livelihood, how that can serve to bring about contentment and to get our minds ready for going deeper. The Buddha was very practical about the human condition. He understood that our words or actions harm others, and the mind can become unsettled because of that. And the analogy used is it's like trying to see your reflection in muddy water. So the first task then is to purify conduct so that the mind becomes steady, trustworthy, and bright. And the purification of virtue doesn't necessarily make us better people in an ego sense, but it makes the mind a clear vessel for deeper practice. Bani Gunaratana, who is the abbot of the Bhavana Society Monastery in High Vista, West Virginia, has a book called The 4 Foundations of Mindfulness in Plain English. And he wrote, "Morality is not a set of commandments, but a way of harmonizing our behavior with the natural law of cause and effect. When our actions are wholesome, the mind is calm. When our actions are unwholesome, the mind is restless." Take yourself back to childhood when you know you've done something wrong. And you knew it, brother and sister knew it, whoever was hanging out with you knew it. The question was, did mama know it? Or did daddy know it? Well, having thoughts like that on your mind can make it difficult to settle down. Our minds are sort of like a duck. We might look all nice and calm, but nobody has any idea how hard we're paddling on the inside, what's going on down underneath. And we're all that way, and we put on really good appearances. But when I look at this quote about the mind being restless, I think of what it's like to have nothing to hide, nothing to regret. The heart then becomes lighter, and then this creates fertile ground that concentration can grow in. In the Dhammapada, live in the way, and the light will grow in you. It's one of my favorite Dhammapada quotes. Live in the way, and the light will grow in you. So from that point, the Buddha directs us to develop concentration, that is, the collected, unified mind. Thea and I were talking about the word steadiness comes to mind. I like to use the word focus. And the best example I can think of is when you know you're going to go out there and you're looking for something, but everything happens on the way, and then you get there. What am I here for? I forgot. But focus, being fully present, is one of the results of the opportunities we have through this second division of the path: right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Like taking care of a garden, these three factors work together to help us tend the mind. Effort provides the energy, right mindfulness provides the awareness, and then with concentration comes stability. So let's continue the gardening metaphor a little bit as we talk about right effort. The first is to prevent, there's four great endeavors of right effort. And if you Google this, that'll all pop up, but I'm hoping to personalize it a little bit. To prevent the arising of unarisen, unwholesome states. To pull weeds, being watchful and aware of unwholesome states like greed, hatred, and delusion, and addressing them if they seem to have taken root. I've been doing this lately with my books. For some reason, I've got all these books, and it's like there's a male and a female because there's more and more and more. They just keep coming and coming and coming and coming. And I recently came to the conclusion that I don't necessarily look at some I haven't even looked at for years, but they got to be there. Why do they got to be there? And do I really need them? Now, I'm not talking about my Kindle. Now, what's on the Kindle is going to stay there. We're not getting rid of that. But sometimes we cling, and we have to be aware of this. And the Buddha actually, in the gradual training, encouraged the monks to guard the doors of the sense faculties to the point that when we see, hear, or think of something that might disturb the mind, we respond wisely and not reactively. We see something there, and we pull the weeds. The second endeavor is to abandon unwholesome states that have already arisen. As in, where did that come from? We got gardeners. How many people? Yeah, we all try to grow things, but where did this come from? And I often am embarrassed after I do that when I say to my wife, what's that? It's a weed, dummy. Well, should I pull it? Yes, pull it up. So this state then is about asking where these thoughts come from. Where did too many books come from? Where did having too many Buddhas? Yeah, I've got too many. Where did that come from? Where did having too many black shirts come from? Well, we all know we need one more black shirt. And so this state's about bringing mindfulness and compassion to the experience in such a way that we truly see and have awareness of what's in our mind. When we truly see that anger burns us first, craving never satisfies, hatred bruises the heart. When we see those things, the energy that they have begin to dissolve. What is the cost of me allowing anger towards someone to live rent-free in my head? Why are all these things I bought with the sureness I really needed them lying around collecting dust? Sometimes when I'm shopping, I'll look at an item and say, that's going to be at a yard sale if I buy it. To what degree has my deep passion against something hardened my heart? When we ask ourselves questions like these, we're taking a hard look at our identification with the unwholesome. So the third aspect of right effort is to arouse wholesome states that have not yet arisen. Plant good seeds. Just as we remove weeds, we also plant. And the planting of arousing wholesome states involves the effort to cultivate wholesome qualities, loving kindness, compassion, generosity, wisdom. And if we notice our heart is dull or disconnected, we can deliberately turn to qualities that uplift it. One of these is metta, loving kindness, radiating goodwill toward ourselves and others, and reflecting on gratitude. Take 3 breaths to find something that you're grateful for. Yeah. Anybody pick that sound? That's heat. I'm grateful for it. So these thoughts are trainings of the heart that prepare it for concentration. What we think of that settles our mind gives us the opportunity to go deeper. And then the fourth, to maintain and perfect wholesome states that have already arisen. Tending the garden. Right effort means sustaining the good, protecting our clarity. In the Sutta on Loving Kindness, which is also known as the Metta Sutta, the Buddha says, just as a mother protects her only child with her life, so should one cultivate a boundless heart toward all beings. Got some you want to leave out? Maybe 1 or 2. But a boundless heart. And that's one thing I like about coming to Sangha. Even though we don't all know each other, we like each other. I hope we do anyway. We're coming together as people of one thought. We're coming together in one accord. So, right effort, that's the first part of the division. The second is right mindfulness. That is the continuous awareness of body, feelings, mind, and mental objects. So what is mindfulness? There's all kinds of definitions out there. Bhante Gunaratana, again, from his first book, Mindfulness in Plain English. Mindfulness is non-conceptual awareness, bare attention. It is not thinking, it does not get involved with thought or concepts, it does not get hung up on ideas or opinions or memories. It just looks. How easy is it to get hung up on a memory? Somebody in my little town drives an orange Volkswagen Beetle. It's about that color. A little bit oranger though, but not quite pumpkin orange. And every time I see it, my mind just goes straight to my first car. Carolina Blue VW, 68 Beetle. Anybody have a Beetle? Don't you miss them? The thing I liked about mine is I could drive the stick shift with my leg. Now that took some time, and I could have been pulled over for that. But you see something and your mind goes somewhere else. Now mindfulness, bare attention, is seeing and just seeing it without attaching stuff. And this is something that's very, very important in our practice and takes a lot of practice. Not to go somewhere as soon as we see something, but just seeing, just looking, just feeling, just hearing. Thich Nhat Hanh teaches that mindfulness is to be aware of what is happening inside and around you in the present moment. And really good teaching on mindfulness is in two of his books. One, Peace is Every Step, and then that basic book, The Miracle of Mindfulness. And it's still one of those books that it's been out forever, but it still sells. The place where the Buddha taught mindfulness the most clear is the Satipatthana Sutta, the discourse on the four foundations of mindfulness. You can find that in the middle length discourses. If you go online and type middle length discourses, or if you just type four foundations of mindfulness, it'll come up. But let's look at these. The first is mindfulness of the body. We begin by bringing awareness to the body, its postures, its movement, breath, sensations. And this anchors the mind in the present moment, but it also gives us opportunity to see the body as more than just looks. I was telling the group, the intro group before, on my Facebook, if you find Larry Dawalt, you'll see a picture of me when I'm 5 years old. You know what that reminds me of? No permanent self. We change. We change. And in the course of this awareness, we also have to experience the changing of others as to who they were and who they are. How many of you have been to a class reunion lately? Like 10 years, 20 years, some of our cases 40 years, 50 years, and you walk up to somebody and you shake hands, you say, "Hi, I'm Larry Dawalt." And they say, "No, you're not." Because mindfulness has to take us beyond what we generally see. We see the impermanence of the body. It feels good. It hurts. It is healthy. It's sick. It looks one way, then aging makes it look another way. But with that seeing, craving begins to lessen, and insight is initiated when we can look deep into the body and know that the body changes. And sometimes it changes and we're not aware that it is happening or it is going to happen. One of my biggest lessons this year is right here. You can see it, can't you? That's a squamous cell carcinoma that had surgery. It was a little bump. How did it turn into 15 radiation treatments? It was just a little bump. But this mindfulness of the body and this awareness gives us the opportunity to see that we are not permanent selves. We change, we evolve, and it's not because we did something wrong. It's just the way life is. Mindfulness of feelings. We observe pleasant, unpleasant, neutral feelings. We begin to see how craving arises from pleasant feelings and aversion from unpleasant feelings. Mindfulness of the mind. We observe the state of the mind itself Is it distracted or concentrated? Is it filled with desire or free of it? Again from the Dhammapada. Mind precedes all mental states. Mind is their chief. They're all mind wrought. If with an impure mind one speaks or acts, suffering follows him like the wheel that follows the foot of the ox. If with a pure mind, happiness follows him like a shadow that never leaves. And then the fourth foundation, mindfulness of mental objects, the 5 hindrances, the 7 factors of awakening, the 4 noble truths. And then, in the time I have remaining, right concentration, the unified mind. This is what we move to as concentration deepens. The restless movements of craving and aversion subside, and the mind becomes like a still lake, clear enough to reflect the truth. And the Buddha compared this to refining gold. When gold is impure, it's brittle. When refined through fire and care, it becomes radiant. When the mind is unified, we can turn it into insight. We can see impermanence. We can see unsatisfactoriness. We can see non-self, the nature of all phenomena. And it's in the deep moments that we see things clearer. The deep moments. Now, I think I talked last time about the Bird app. Do y'all have the Bird app? Anybody know what I'm talking about? It's this app from Cornell University that tells you what bird you're listening to. Now, I like it because I had no idea that on Saturday and Sunday mornings there are between 10, 11 different birds in my yard. But I've gotten to the point, if I'm real still, I can pick one out every now and then without cheating, without looking at the app. But you have to get real still. You have to have been there before. You have to have heard it before. But in that stillness, in that deep level of concentration, there is an opportunity to see how sensations rise and pass away, and to be fully present and know what we're hearing, know what we're feeling, know what we're seeing. The Buddha said, for one who is concentrated, no volition, that is, no act of the will, need be exerted. Let me know and see things as they really are. It is natural that one who is concentrated knows and sees things as they really are. And it's also important to remember that the path is not just confined to the cushion. Right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration can be practiced moment by moment. So let's return to where we begin. The purification of conduct through right speech, right action, and right livelihood establishes a stable foundation for the purification of the mind. When the mind is virtuous, it is peaceful. When the mind is peaceful, it is concentrated. When the mind is concentrated, it is wise. And when wisdom arises, suffering ends. The Buddha said, I teach but one thing, suffering and the cessation of suffering. This is our journey. This is our path. This is our practice.